Hello, this is Jessica. In this video and podcast from Gene Irwin's 3D Business Launch Model, you will learn about several businesses targeted at various gender and age-based people. However, it is our firm belief that any person, man, woman, or teenager would be able to start, develop, and successfully run any of these businesses. Some of you may need more assistance on the front end than others. Some of you may need support when you expand your market share. In any case, the 3D Business Launch Model team is ready to help you every step of the way to your own home-based business. If you have any questions or issues, you can always reach us at 1-800-750-8767 or by emailing us at the location at the end of this podcast. Let's get started.
Thanks, Jessica. Hello, friend. This is Gene Irwin. We're going to try something new in this podcast series and apply the use of artificial intelligent voices to help you understand more clearly the different methodologies and instructions we're trying to give you. I recognize my voice isn't the most pleasant thing to listen to, but we hope you enjoy this broadcast, video and podcast. We look forward to hearing from you. You have a great day. Hello, friend. This is Gene Irwin, founder of the 3D Business Launch Model, and this is podcast number 4, Business Startup for Adults and Teens. A little history lesson, right or wrong. I grew up in an era when most men and women and teenagers were expected to perform in certain areas of life, sort of predetermined by gender and age. During my early years, between 8 and 18, I began to notice a shift. Expectations of what people could, should, and ought to do. In plain language, some people thought others should behave in a way in which they decided was best for the person, not that the person wanted for themselves. Pretty awkward, don't you think? Anyway, to continue the story, I grew up on a working ranch, tended to horses, cows, and dogs, and the irrigation issues. Put up thousands of bales of hay in the summer, fed the animals in the winter, and irrigated hundreds of acres in the spring, summer, and fall. That was my working life, as it were. I noticed that men did all the driving of trucks, put out fires, cut down trees, and cleared acreage for crops and animals. Women ran all aspects of maintaining the home front, with cooking, cleaning, and basically being the traffic cop at home, making sure everybody was nice to each other. That worked most of the time. And made sure homework was done and attendance at school and after-school sports was basically mandatory. These were my assumptions about gender and age, until it wasn't. Growing up in rural Montana, it was a given that young people under the age of 10 could learn how to drive vehicles or at least steer them so that adults or older siblings could load hay on wagons and trucks. So that's what we did. I became pretty good at it, at least that's what I thought, and so we did that. I learned how to drive trucks when I was about 9 years old. It wasn't a happy time for my older brothers because when I was in the field driving, I ran over the ditches and the bumps without slowing down because I couldn't reach the pedals, and I bounced them all over the truck, and sometimes they let me know about it in a harsh way. But that was my life. Sometime around my freshman year in high school, I noticed more women smoked and drank, some even drove large trucks, a few even plowed deep snows in Montana for the Department of Transportation. A few even fought forest fires with me as I was working for the Forest Service the last 2 years in high school, of course, after I took care of the ranch chores. There were women in all aspects of government jobs, and that became an eye-opener for me. They were very professional, organized, and unfazed by the frenzy of emergency issues that came with protecting life, homes, and animals. While some of the men were quite rattled, women weren't. Pretty amazing, actually. In my naive way of thinking, women's roles were basically tied to management in the home front. I had no idea that they were capable of so much more. I then looked at women's roles in politics and other careers typically assigned to men. Fast forward to today in the early 2020s, and there is nothing a man can do in most jobs, positions, or business opportunities that a woman, in most cases, a teenager, can't do, except we're limited by age requirements. I know and fully acknowledge that there is nearly no aspect of owning, starting, and running a business that none of these 3 types of people, men, women, and teens, couldn't do just as well. Sure, some people have a steeper learning curve to make all of the pieces fit, but for the most part, I personally believe that the businesses we discuss can be managed by any of the people classified into gender or age-based options. Therefore, that's how we're going to proceed. We're going to look at generic business ideas that were typically assigned by gender or age roles, and see if we can help you find the one or two that keeps your interest. If you become a direct client of the 3D Business Launch Model, we will address all of the issues from your point of view or POV, regardless of your age or gender. For you younger entrepreneurs, if you're under 18, we may require that you get a sign-off from one of your parents before we commit resources of counsel and time to you. But it also is to protect you from what we would consider predatory behavior in some businesses. There is absolutely no reason for us to expect that you should have any less advice and effort from our end than if we are working with older adults. That's how we're going to treat you. How you react and behave to our counsel and instructions is up to you. But we do recommend having a parent look over your shoulder in all aspects of our relationship, and in some cases, be on a conference call with us from time to time. As I digress into my childhood for a moment, I remember that my neighbor Philip and I decided to create a live bait business for area fishermen in the spring and summer. Of course, being about 14, we really had no idea what we were doing, except that during fishing season, we lived near a shallow swamp, which had incredibly good dirt that night crawlers loved to inhabit. We devised ways to catch these giant worms, and after a few dismal showings, started to get pretty good at it. In truth, I think our little adventure lasted less than 2 weeks, but we did make some money and proved that fishermen would buy the product in an effort to catch fish, although we didn't receive any confirming reports. Anyway, time for school. Later in high school, some of you will be familiar with my first real business, which was concocted with a friend of mine whose name is Bob. He drove the hay trucks for us in the summer. After haying season, I convinced my dad to let us use the 1-ton truck to go into the woods and begin cutting and hauling specific types of trees, cut into posts, to a local mill for about 35 cents apiece. The name of the plant was Parker's Post and Rail Plant, located in Sula, Montana. My friend Bob and I drove about 75 miles from my hometown, after resetting the irrigation pipes at 5 in the morning, of course, and reached the small permit area we purchased. The Forest Service came out to our small permit area and tagged the trees that we were permitted to harvest. It was a very small area, maybe 75 yards in diameter, but lodgepole pine grows extremely thick and close together. By thinning out the trees and cutting them to 8-foot length posts, we were able to make a great income for a couple of high school boys in our own little business. If I remember correctly, we cleared over $50 a day for each of us. That was a lot of money back then, after expenses of gas, oil, and chainsaw maintenance. Bob drove, and I did most of the sawing. We also did a great thing for the forest in that area by opening up the ground to more sunlight for grass to grow and protect the area from erosion, as well as provide forage for deer and elk in the winter. Then we ran into a major hurdle. Have you ever tried to carry 150-pound of an 8-foot-long, 14-inch diameter post over steep ground for about 60 yards, and then trying to load it into a 1-ton truck? I didn't think so. It took every bit of our strength and stamina to do the work. But we learned a great deal about the commitment it takes to start, create, and run your own business. Thank goodness that the new school year began in about 3 weeks. We were exhausted from our work. Richer, but very tired. And after all that, I still couldn't get away from continuing the irrigation of the fields every day. Much later in college, you have heard about the starving artist. Trust me, they have nothing on the millions of us who were starving college students. During my initial involvement in college, we were not permitted to keep pets in our dorm rooms. I don't know if that is still the case, but probably is. Still the case for good reason. I somehow ended up with a small pair of fish in a bowl, and after a few weeks, I had a couple of dozen of them, due to a hatching. As such, I sold about $15 worth of fish at $1 each in a foam cup around different rooms in the dorm. Later in college, maybe my junior year, I ended up selling 5 or 6 goose-down severe weather coats that were made from kits. I gained a few $100, and I had one of those coats for over 30 years. After graduating from the university, As a chemical engineer, I didn't have a need or interest in starting another company until about 5 years later, when I began the consulting business, which catapulted me into a career spanning more than 25 years of self-employment and creating more than $275 million in revenue for a lot of high-tech companies. In this podcast, you're going to have 3 artificial intelligence people discuss the men's, women's, and teens' recommended new business areas. Now it's time to share with you how to find your own home-based business that will prepare you forward into owning your own income-generating process. And who knows, you could create the next Microsoft or Amazon or maybe Tesla. We wish you all the very best. This is Gene Irwin, founder of the 3D Business Launch Model. We will do everything in our power to help you succeed. So, let's begin.
Hello again. This is Jessica. Gene has asked that in addition to introducing to you the videos and podcasts for the 3D Business Launch Model, that I also address the home-based business opportunities that may be suitable for women entrepreneurs. I'm also going to explain to you how to reach our new mini course of the 3D Business Launch Model, specifically designed to help you quickly start and run your own home-based business. You can find that information on our separate development and training website with the following address: gene-irwin.mykajabi.com/home business. Again, that's gene-irwin.mykajabi.com/home business. Take a look at that information, which explains the working modules we recommend for new entrepreneurs, which is priced just right for everyone's budget, and of course comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. But we certainly hope you will use it to create your own home-based business. Our first speaker is going to be Lucas, and he will address business opportunities generally started by men. Then I will address you with content aimed at women business owners, and then Oliver will address the opportunities targeted for teenagers. We hope you find this entire podcast and video helpful. Please go to 3D Business Launch Model and download your own copy of the video at your convenience.
Bye.
For now.
Hi, my name is Lucas. I work with Jessica in the 3D Business Launch Model. Hello to all those who want to go over several different options for creating, developing, and running a business startup. This first group of options will be geared mostly to men. However, there are no reasons why women or teens couldn't just as easily create and become successful in any of these areas. Keep in mind, I've been asked by Gene Irwin to give you as much information about a suggested type of business. Have you pencil in those 3 or 4 that interest you, and then have you delve into the details yourself. Here's the key. Once you have discovered the type of business you have an interest in, that is the best time to go ahead and take Gene Irwin's mini course from 3D Business Launch Model. It's very inexpensive and will help clarify your objectives, licenses, method of operations, and how to quickly grow your business successfully. Feel free to give us a call at 800-750-8767 anytime you have questions or need a little help. We're always here for you. Here's the link to Gene's 3D Business Launch Model mini course. https://gene-irwin.mykajabi.com/home business. To help you with the format of this information, we are going to basically take a look at options for men, then women, then teens. I'm responsible for discussing the men's options. Jessica will address the women's options, and Oliver will be handling the options for teenagers. In each category, we are going to present the types of businesses in an alphabetical order. Some of the options can be easily managed by any person, regardless of gender, or within reason, age. We are going to discuss between 5 and 8 businesses per slide, and you may wish to download a copy of this information for the video podcast series from the 3D Business Launch Model series. This one is entitled Podcast 4, Business Startup for Adults and Teens. In this slide we will focus on a second-hand store, adventure guide, and Amazon retailer affiliate program. Second-hand store. Some of you are quite aware that Gene and some of his consultants are not fond of retail stores. But in the case of a second-hand store, which may or may not include antiques, there is some attraction because the competition can't easily duplicate your inventory, especially if you specialize in a particular area, such as furniture, specialty clothes, etc. The challenge in developing a second-hand store is twofold. First, you will need to acquire a large volume of items to sell at an unknown cost structure, and second, your market size is going to be extremely limited. I didn't promise that I would disclose only the best money makers out there. What I did promise is to give you a diverse choice of businesses to consider. Adventure Guide. This particular type of business is ideal for someone who lives in an area frequented by lots of tourists who come into your area looking for an adventure. Think river guide, jeep trails, and hiking. If you are in such an area, becoming a licensed guide, if required, can be used to quickly attract outsiders to your area who are seeking a positive experience they can look back on. Be cautious in licensing and liability exposure here. Amazon Retailer. Amazon has an affiliate program that is available worldwide to just about anyone. There are several facets that may interest you. We are going to discuss becoming a baker, caterer, cleaner, and home or business cleaning operation. In all of these business ideas, they have in common the requirement to buy equipment to create their service or products. Baker. Although this type of business doesn't necessarily require a formal education, you will need some hands-on, literally, experience in knowing how to prepare and bake the cookies, breads, and related flour-based products we all know and love. But I've seen young people with just 2 ovens in their garage turn out more than $40,000 a year in just baking bread for a local client group. With bread costing about $5 a loaf, this may be of interest to you. Be aware of the local codes where you live. The reference people had a garage that was always more than 100 F hot every day. Caterer. This is a business that has many options. You can supply rental equipment to people who put on wedding receptions, or you can perform the support elements of such gatherings yourself. It can be quite lucrative, but you will have to secure a lot of specific pieces of equipment in order to round out your rental business, which entails hundreds of plastic folding chairs, tables, and special equipment like chafing dish sets to keep food hot. Cleaners. There are several different types of cleaners, from those working part-time in cleaning someone's home on a regular basis, or creating a team of cleaners that work in homes and commercial enterprises. In most cases, this type of business will always be in demand, and usually doesn't require an education, but does rely on experience and credibility. Another twist to the cleaning business is to focus on niche markets, such as only cleaning up construction projects dealing with wood scraps, etc. As long as there is dirt around, cleaners will have a forever career. In addition to the freelance markets for cleaning, there are several low-cost franchises dealing specifically with cleaning projects. In this slide, we are going to discuss becoming a DJ, developing a drone business, and custom embroidery business. Disc jockey. Becoming a DJ in this day and age should be fairly straightforward. The majority of songs are available in a digital format, and unless you go overboard for speakers, amplifiers, and related equipment, your costs to create an effective DJ business should be less than $2,500. Keep in mind, you will want to get into this market while you have contacts and business owners who benefit from your music business. This implies that they have a venue, place to entertain people, that is conducive to attract people to dance and party. It is our strongest recommendation that you do not become involved in supplying any type of drink product with your DJ business. Stay within the lanes of providing music and entertainment only. The major challenge here is to find sufficient work that allows you to take advantage of 4 or 5 days a week, instead of just the weekends. Drone business. Until fairly recently, creating a drone business was not feasible for most people. The equipment is expensive, the time to become FAA certified, required in almost every commercial situation, is necessary before offering your services, and your own learning curve in understanding how to become an ACE in flying commercial drones is lengthy. However, the joy of bringing a point of view to the end user of your service is almost beyond explanation. Seeing your property, home, or nature from the air is breathtaking. Drones will cost between $2,500 and $15,000 to get the more substantial equipment necessary to be able to compete in this market. Flying a drone comes with a caution. As the drone operator, you are liable for damage, incursion upon someone's privacy, and breaking FAA rules and regulations with severe penalties. This business is good, but intense. Custom embroidery. Nearly all of us have worn a ball cap with logos and comments embroidered on them, from our favorite sports team to personal messages. Mine says, "Bite me," and shows a picture of a salmon fly, which is prevalent for fishermen in the Salmon, Idaho area. This business is fun, and can be made to be a successful home-based business, but some machines and supplies are expensive. Look online for more details. In this slide, we are going to discuss becoming an event planner, farmer, mink and chickens, and graphic design business. Event planner. If you begin around lots of people, and want to make sure that everyone is enjoying the event they are attending, perhaps you want to consider being an event planner. There are numerous events from rodeos to car racing to planning a wedding reception. Some of these events require someone to take charge of all aspects of the event or venue, in order that all of the details come together at just the right amount at the right time. I would recommend you work with someone in this arena first, to learn if it truly is someone you want to do. Event planners tend to be very anal and focused on execution, because they know their reputation depends on it. You can't screw it up and ask for a do-over. It's got to be right. Every time. Farmer, mink and chickens. These type of businesses require substantial amounts of capital for supporting equipment, facilities, and access to a ready-made market. Some chickens are for roasting, some are for laying. This type of farming has been around for millennia, and will continue to be with us. The other types of specialty farms, like mink farms, etc., and now subject to restrictions, making them very expensive and difficult to continue with increased resistance from consumers and other legal challenges. Even raising horses and cows can become very difficult due to the political whims of society. Graphic design. To become a graphic designer, you will need to enter into and receive specialized education. In most cases, you will need several years of experience before you elect to go out on your own and set up your own business. Graphic designers can also end up working in various marketing and advertising campaigns for larger companies, of whom may become your clients if you elect to be an independent contractor for various jobs. But a word of caution, most people who are very good at graphic art are not very good at securing the contracts necessary to keep performing your artistic magic. Suggest you continue working with a firm that gives you a base salary until you are able to understand the marketing of these types of services. You will be much better at seeing the whole picture of how the graphics industry works when you get away from the screens of your computer. In this slide, we are going to discuss becoming a hair stylist, house painter, hot shot delivery, an HVAC contractor and a pest control technician. Hair stylist. This is a home-based business which requires licensing in all states, regardless of where the service is performed. At your home or a beauty salon, a cosmetologist is required to take long hours of courses and instruction. This specific website contains all of the particulars of what is required on a state-by-state basis to obtain your license. https://nacms.org/cosmetology/states/. In California, for instance, the prospective business owner as a hair stylist/cosmetologist is required to be at least 16 years old, with a 10th grade education or equivalent, 1,600 school hours/3,200 apprentice hours, that's 1.5 years, and pass written and practical exams. Renewal is every 2 years in odd-numbered years at a $50 license fee. All of this is required before you can legally cut hair in California. House painter. Most states have some type of licensing and bond requirements before you can become a legal house painter in their state. Some base the license on the value of the job, others have prerequisites of your working for a licensed contractor for a number of years before you can be licensed in that state. Check with your Secretary of State or Registrar of Contractors in your state to confirm. HVAC, heating, ventilating and air conditioning is a professional service that requires licensing in all states. While is fairly intense to learn the details of the products and services, this is a skill set that will provide you with dividends for years to come. The certificate in HVAC program in Arizona costs $19,610 in total. An online degree program is also available and costs $8,630. Pest control. Most states have some type of licensing requirement in order to administer pest control agents. In Arizona, for instance, there are 3 such licenses: Certified Applicator License, Certified Qualified Applicator License and Pesticide Business License. The average income for a certified applicator individual is about $39,000 a year. In this slide, we are going to discuss becoming a logging sawyer, mobile car washing, mobile food truck, musician. Logging sawyer. This home-based business requires certifications in all states, regardless of where the service is performed. Be warned, this is one of the most dangerous jobs or careers you can pursue. You're often working with people who have several tons of logs that are lifted overhead on steep slopes or just prior to loading a logging truck, and anything can happen. Of my father and 3 brothers, I'm the only one who wasn't severely injured in some capacity in this field. Due to the nature of the work, there are new policies put in place, which you can review shown below. Don't try using a chainsaw until properly trained in safety and operation. https://www.fs.usda.gov/managing-land/trails/trail management tools/national SAW program. Mobile CR washing business. We have put this type of mobile business in sync with a mobile food truck business, as they entail some of the same criteria. In each case, you need substantial equipment that is well maintained, and in some places need to be inspected and licensed. Both mobile businesses provide a service to people at home, at a business, and at a job site. Remember the counsel given in one of our videos, which states that when you have finite capacity, i.e., car wash or in this case burners, you will only produce as fast as the wash completes, the people order, or the stoves and burners can produce. The only way to increase sales is to increase capacity, and that means another service truck. Run the numbers carefully, consider the market you are trying to capture, and make sure you understand the regulations concerning your type of business, and the political ramifications of where you can operate that business. Some cities limit the areas in which you can operate mobile businesses. Musician. Everyone likes music in some form or fashion. From the web, are music artists employees? For all intents and purposes, they work for their record labels, but they are not considered workers, they are contractors. Musicians remain independent small businesses who contract with labels to provide a service. Under this system, labels do not owe musicians anything as workers. In addition, a person is an independent contractor only when free from control and direction in the performance of services. Remember the role of the starving artist? You need to pay your dues, and in this case it may be a very long time, before you have consistent gigs and income. In this slide, we are going to discuss becoming a newspaper route owner, personal trainer or personal coach. Newspaper route. Men, women and teens can easily begin taking over a newspaper route. Although fewer people are reading newspapers in this day and time, the routes still exist and should be available to anyone who wants a separate part-time opportunity. At the present time, there are over 50 jobs posted in the Phoenix area for people to take over newspaper routes. The income from this endeavor is between $1,200 and $2,000 per month. Personal trainer/personal coach. In my capacity as an executive consultant, my fees are at least $2,500 per day, minimum 3 days plus another $2,500 in travel and associated expenses. That's $10,000 for 3 days of my best work. How in the world did that fee get so high? About 10 years ago, my consulting fee was $439 per hour, which is even more. In that case, I worked for a well-known consulting firm, and was charged with analyzing all aspects of a business with at least $5 million in revenue. If we elected to take them on as a client, our overall fee was easily more than $20,000 per week. How is that possible, you ask? Well, we're pretty good at what we can do to make companies much more successful than they can on their own. We approach the business from the standpoint that we don't have any sacred cows to deal with. What does that mean? Simply stated, we don't care what's important to the company's emotional attachments to a product, service, way of doing things or personnel performance. Our job was to make your company much more financially sound than when we first evaluated your business for consideration. The ability to command premium prices for our services is due to the fact that our only focus was making your business more profitable immediately and put your company on a strong footing to ensure it stays that way. Since we didn't have any axe to grind or emotional attachments, we were free to recommend operational reductions and other sound business decisions that immediately affected the bottom line. As the consulting company was quick to point out, profit isn't everything, it's the only thing. If you don't have a profit, you don't have a business. In this slide, we are going to discuss becoming a photographer, plumber, pool cleaning, pressure washing. Photography, men, women, and teens can succeed at this type of business. Keep in mind, nearly everyone with a smartphone thinks they are taking great pictures, insomuch that they sometimes create photo albums by using Snapfish and Shutterfly. Using either one of these services as part of your offering from your photography store might be a great way to expand your business. You will need to learn how to take professional pictures, perhaps family portraits and commercial events. But you will need to heavily invest in equipment and space to work on the front end of this type of business. Plumber, as long as there is indoor plumbing, there are always going to be people who need your services. From the web, all persons who wish to be certified as a licensed plumber in the state you reside requires documented experience, working for others, certifications, and passing of all state requirements. Your state's requirements can be found here. https://www.nextinsurance.com/blog/plumber licensing requirements/ pool cleaning / pressure washing. Both of these types of opportunities go hand in hand. Some states require specific licensing, certifications and experience under a licensed pool and spa business before you can actually work in this industry. Carefully review the license and experience requirements in your state before you begin your pool and pressure washing business. Ranching / co-op. I'm not aware of any legal requirement to secure a license to work on a ranch. However, the hiring foreman may require references so that you know how to operate certain machinery, or how to properly build fencing or taking care of the animals or crops. There are most likely numerous places in the rural areas where you live that you could find work in the ranching business. You want to do what Gene did in his youth? His family was at it for over 40 years, hundreds of cattle and over 50 horses and lots of dogs. He counted. We recently heard a Montana rancher say, some 20 years ago, we got $3.40 per pound for cattle, and trucks cost $25,000. Now trucks cost $70,000 and we still get only $3.40 per pound for cattle. In this slide, we are going to discuss rental company, restaurant, river guide and local guides. Rental business. Here again, men, women and teens can operate a rental business. There are severe expenses up front, including buying or leasing enough physical space to house outdoor equipment, and maintain a healthy stock of available tools, equipment and other rental items, such as event preparation tools such as tables and chairs. Remember very clearly, rental businesses are oftentimes seasonal, that is, they work best in one part of the year than others. And it's not something you can easily predict. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I analyzed a portable toilet rental company. You know, and most likely hate, the blue portable toilets, made of thick plastic, and placed in rows of 20 or more toilets near a major event, like an outdoor rodeo, carnival, or festival. While they've gotten better over the years, they still are a big negative to most women I know. But, back to the company I evaluated. Because they were seasonal, and they included highway construction companies as clients, they were literally making incredible cash flow for 5 or 6 months out of the year, from something so simple as giving people a place to go. What are the challenges of rental companies? Initial cost of land, building and sufficient rental equipment/supplies. Also included as a major challenge is determining your market. The portable toilet opportunities are pretty succinct. Equipment rental isn't. Restaurant business. I don't like the restaurant business, but I get it. Everyone has to eat, and most people like eating food if it's good. But, keep in mind there are multiple licenses needed, quality cooks, specialty menus, all of the other issues surrounding the one business that has more business owners and employees quitting than just about any other kind of business. Remember, it's the wear marks on the ankle that makes this very difficult. River/local guide. There are certain events which are conducive to requiring qualified guides. whitewater rapids, and hunting. All other types of guides are usually based on the locality in which you live, and what extraneous activities draw tourists and others to your area and activity. It is usually seasonal. In this slide, we are going to discuss sewing/tailoring, shade tree mechanic. Sewing/tailoring, here are two businesses wrapped into one. You can be a seamstress creating dresses, handbags, and related supporting clothing items, or you can be a tailor, creating suits and related products for men, or both. A word of caution. You can't use specific materials that are copywritten as IP or intellectual property of others in your creations. For instance, you can't use copyright logos from a sports team or exact characters from the Marvel Universe to sell online or directly to others. My sister-in-law has been a seamstress out of her home for more than 50 years. She had weeks of work piled up in her garage in just about every available square foot. If you're really good at sewing, especially in economic downturn times, you will have more work that you can possibly do in a given week. That is called job security. Shade tree mechanic. Most work done at a car/truck dealer's operation typically run at $80 to $120/hour, due to the overhead of operations, and high salary commanded by certified mechanics. If you are competent in working on equipment and specifically cars and trucks, and have the right equipment, you can earn a substantial living running a repair shop out of your home/garage/property. Even if you price your work at $40/hour plus parts, it is still going to be substantially less than taking a vehicle to the dealer for repairs. Some caveats. You most likely will need licenses for parts and labor from the state and possibly the city where you reside. And, in some cases, your place of living may prevent you from working on cars on your own property. In any case, you will have to make a substantial investment into the tools necessary to do most repair and replacement jobs. Remember what we've said in the past about working spaces. In car washes and car shops, you only have 1 or 2 bays within which to work at any one time. You are thus limited in the amount of work you can do in a given day. Final note of caution: be sure to have your client sign authorization for you to do the work, and to secure their signature on a work order which gives you a mechanic's lien in the event of non-payment. Use some current docs from nearly dealer service shops as an example of what to do. You will also have to extend some type of warranty of the parts and labor. This paperwork is very important to your success. In this slide, we are going to discuss a storage business, tools route, distribution routes. Storage business, people are pack rats. Some people are even hoarders, holding on to everything that has ever come into their lives. Yuck! Aside from that disgusting thought, it's a good thing people create surplus documents, vehicles, RVs, and other odds and ends, and eventually run out of space. Enter your new business, the local storage company. Once you get through the business plan idea of just what you're going to store, you will most likely need to fund buildings, storage space construction, or acquire a storage business from someone else who is retiring. If you have access to lots of land, the safe storage of adult toys of cars, trucks, boats, RVs, and quads lends them to be a great cash flow business to you. The secret to success in this type of business comes in 2 forms. A. What is the competition doing? And B. What are your demographics in your area? Let's look at the competition combined with the population in a 10-mile radius. Anything outside of 10 miles is most likely not going to use your facility. I just conducted a brief survey of where I live and discovered 20 different storage options within that 10-mile radius. That's what I call competition. In my case, I live in a very dense population of about 250,000 people in that 10-mile radius. Within a quarter mile of my home, there are 6 lanes of traffic every day. In most cases, you won't have that type of population density, but you will have competition. Take a look at that first, then determine what their services are. We suggest that you go to each of the locations in your area, and ask the local day manager what their current capacity is. If they are 90% full all the time, that's a good thing. Anything less than 80% full means that excess capacity isn't bringing in new clients, and you should consider a different business. Tools route/distribution route. There are a substantial number of distribution routes you can begin working in almost immediately. These are available to you now: Arnold Bread, Big Geyser, Bimbo Bread, Boar's Head, Cape Cod, Dannon Yogurt, Dietz/Watson, Doritos, Entenmann's, Hare's Chips, Hostess Cakes, Ice Cream, Little Debbie's, Matco Tools, Pepperidge Farm, Sara Lee, Stroman's, Sunbeam Bread, Thomas, and Thuman's. For those customers who live on a fixed budget, live out of town or unable to travel to the store easily, will become consistent route customers like my mother, who didn't drive, was on a fixed income, and really enjoyed having selections and delivery right to her front door. Great business, low income. In this slide, we are going to discuss a toy store, translation, t-shirt business, silk screening, tutoring online. Toy store. We all had some type of childhood, and we all had some type of toys. There are always going to be children who want and need toys, and the market continues to grow every year. But beware. If Toys R Us can go under, so can you in this business. The Toys R Us story was predicated upon carrying too much debt and overhead that made it impossible to improve the customer experience in a warehouse-type environment. It's one thing to go to Home Depot with concrete floors and outside plants. It's quite another for suburban parents with little children crawling around on concrete and shelves which were haphazard at best. But on to you. If I were going to recommend a retail toy store, it would have to be more of a boutique store, like a Main Street store. This implies that your sales are going to be seasonal. After all, the biggest selling season for toys is Christmas. There are going to be many months without great sales volume, unless you couple it with direct sales online and through Amazon. You could do that from home, by the way. Translation. Translating would have two major sources of income: A. Live translating online, and B. Translating cultural documents for further delivery to end users in business. Income from translating ranges from $38,000 to $76,000 per year, and can be conducted from home, or under contract to a translation company who already has clients needing your services. This is a low-cost entry process, which should be quite lucrative depending upon your skills and the languages you speak and write fluently. Tutoring. While there are people who tutor in person, you may be able to tutor online via Skype or similar routes in order to reach a wider audience. Go online and research opportunities in this area. I would avoid tutoring in person, because it limits your client reach and becomes an hourly job. T-shirt business. There are about 13,000 t-shirt franchise operations in the U.S. In my local area, there are nearly 50 t-shirt or printing businesses. Online, there are thousands. This may seem saturated, but in reality, if you have a local defined geographic area with local sports teams, this may be a great business for you. Low cost, decent return. In this slide, we are going to discuss the Uber/Lyft model, voice coach, web design, and writing options. Uber/Lyft. This business model is based upon local people using personal cars to transport people in their area to short distances, in order to reduce the costs of renting vehicles or using cab drivers. There is a great debate in California which is aimed at making Lyft and gig drivers employees of the company. That's California politics. But doing so, you lose the benefits of being an independent contractor. See our comments on this in other videos. Voice coach. This role requires one to have substantial education, usually in music or physical therapy, to help people with breathing and speaking challenges. Although this can be done at home, some coaches require an office environment. Look into the requirements and see if this is for you. A voiceover person is one who reads various texts via recordings and takes the place of one with lower quality voice, or perhaps reads a book for a digital listen. Web design. This type of business requires one to have credentials and experience in understanding all aspects of creating a website for a particular client. In most cases, they do it wrong, thinking that the client is going to spend the time and energy to order direct from the website. That happens, but to a much lesser extent than most people expect. Then there are the nuances about SEO, or search engine optimization, that is mandatory skills. Writing options. Well, here we are. In addition to creating stories, novels, advertisements, sales copy, blogs, and podcasts, we are in fact using this tool of writing options to educate and instruct our clients. Forget the fact that Gene Irwin has written several books, which are available through Amazon and Forbes and most online retail bookstores. The ability to succinctly use the right word to convey an idea is from a continuing effort to improve in personal and professional communications. Your ability to write is dependent upon your desire, education, knowledge, and expertise in using the right words in the correct order and combination to get your story across to your reading audience. We back that up here at the 3D Business Launch Model by using an AI voiceover technique to ensure you're getting the right message with the right emphasis. We hope you've enjoyed this portion of our podcast.
Hello, this is Jessica. For Options for Women, I'll conduct this series. In this slide, we are going to discuss animal training, artist, and baking. Animal training, it's clear, women have more empathy towards others and animals than men, at least in my opinion. There are substantial examples of women who train horses, especially show horses, show dogs, and working dogs on a far-flung ranch, or guard dogs to protect the family. If you have an interest in animal training, you may wish to consider working with veterinarians initially, in order to get some inside knowledge about what makes these animals perform at their best by being healthy. I'm sure that experience will go a very long way to helping your career in training animals. Artist, it seems that more and more women are recognized for their contributions to the field of art than at any time in the past. We all recognize the names of the giants in art from the distant past: Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, Van Gogh, and others. Perhaps it's time for women to create masterpieces as well. You can accomplish this by specializing in one or more particular fields. Thomas Kincaid's focus was to paint the light, which are prevalent in nearly all of his works. You can decide what type of artist you want to become, and then research the market for methods of instruction and market opportunities. Baking, Mr. S. Fields Cookies. A woman who wanted to bake cookies from home for her family and friends. Now, a $117 million business. Think you have a great idea for baking? Everyone in the world loves chocolate. In fact, we're pretty sure it's part of the vitamin family, or was that vegetable? Anyway, you get the idea. People love to eat special items like America's Greatest Cookie, pretzels, breads, and a host of similar items. If you bake, you're a winner. Now the difficult part. If you bake for others and want to have a retail store, consider that you need commercial ovens, and commercial equipment, and a place to create your products starting very early in the morning, every day that you have your bakery open to the public. We all like to eat. We all like treats, but keep in mind, there's a Dunkin' store on nearly every block in some of the bigger cities for a reason. Even Starbucks is a real competitor. In this slide, we're going to discuss being a bookkeeper, carpet and flooring sales, and catering. Bookkeeper, here is wisdom. If you don't like working with numbers, spreadsheets, and a lot of math, bookkeeping is not your business. There are many at-home bookkeepers who have just a few clients and they are very happy with their workload and relationship. If that's what you want to do, then keep your client list under 5 small businesses. In some cases, you will also be doing their taxes as well, and that one task increases your liability considerably. If you sign on the line as the tax preparer, be ready to defend your position with the IRS if they should ever audit your client's returns. If you keep the work within the guidelines of the FASB, Financial Accounting Standards Board, and generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP, you should be fine. Please be sure that you understand the meaning of these critical standards and adhere to them religiously. Carpet and flooring. If I were beginning a new carpet and flooring, home-based business, I would be tempted to make it a mobile extension of the largest and most successful flooring business in your area. That way, you can secure all of the necessary samples from them, and using your truck and trailer, as it were, along with skills to be an interior decorator, you could easily extend their reach in the surrounding areas outside of their showroom. It's the best of both worlds. They get additional sales, and you don't have to do the labor of installation, which is very time-consuming and labor-intensive. You also get to improve your options into the decorator side of things and offer additional client support in the form of curtains, window coverings, and closet storage concepts. Big bucks, low-cost entry into a great business. Stay very focused on running down referrals and new construction locations. Catering business. This type of business is a very niche business, meaning that you need to pick and choose who your clients are and what it is you want to cater to. A big mistake for first-timers is trying to be everything to everybody, from wedding receptions to outdoor barbecue picnics for a company. Keep in mind, your work is not going to be called upon every day. You won't have deliveries every day until you gain a fabulous reputation for great food, good prices, and fantastic service. This business takes focus and a lot of time to grow. But you can do it with equipment and storage for all of that during slower times of the year. It's feast or famine. In this slide, we are going to discuss cleaning service, closet organizing, consulting, and cooking. Cleaning service. Gone are the days when a cleaning service comes with a stigma of low education / non-English speaker. With the advent of some Miniband, Airbnb, and related short-term rentals, the art of cleaning has gone viral. There are a substantial number of franchised cleaning companies, include Jan Pro, Merry Maids, Puro Clean, and Service Pro to name a few. These are real businesses and can be home-based with both men and women performing the services. Think of it this way. One of Gene Irwin's tenets to great business is, wait for it, perpetual repeat business. Such items as food, gas, utilities are all perpetual repeat business, because we consume the product or service, and have to replenish it every month. That's the same concept with cleaning services, especially those which are focused on commercial cleaning. Imagine working in an office where the day's worth of rubbish isn't picked up but once a week. The trash would overwhelm each office to the extent that it disrupts daily workflow. Built-in, repeat business. Closet organizer. The concept of repeat business to an extent can be seen with closet organizers. Such businesses as Closets by Design, Closet Factory, and Closet and Storage Concepts are several franchises which lend themselves to great businesses for both women and men. A caveat, however. Once you teach a family how to properly organize and care for a closet space, the ability to have monthly repeatable business from that same client isn't going to happen. But, if you have an eye for interior decorating or perhaps window coverings, you already have a built-in captive market. Consulting. Depending on your experience and credentials, women can create a very successful consulting business as any man. This business is not gender-dominate. As such, if you have an interest in consulting, you will have to learn how to cultivate, price, and support your services to a vast audience. Cooking. Every person on the planet needs to eat. But not everyone knows how to cook, nor do meal planning, nor create recipes for others. If cooking is your passion, you may be able to parlay that into a full-time online teaching/training program, or in support of a local catering business. In this slide, we are going to discuss daycare center, desserts, editor, fitness instructor. Daycare center. Gone are the days where someone could look after a dozen little people without oversight from the state or city you live in. In fact, in some cases, this type of business is highly regulated with serious repercussions for being out of compliance. If this is something of interest to you, you may wish to start with the national database using https /childcareta acf hhs gov/licensing. Some locations permit non-licensed facilities under certain conditions, including states which allow some childcare providers to be exempt from childcare licensing laws. Often these providers are relatives of the children they care for a very small number of children, or operate only a few hours a day. Your state licensing agency can provide information about which types of providers are exempt from licensing in your state. Providers who are exempt from licensing still need to meet health and safety requirements if any of the children they care for receive federal child care financial assistance. Desserts. Food for thought, get it? You most likely have heard of Mrs. Fields cookies. In 1977, a young woman, Debbie Fields, and husband Randy opened their first Mrs. Fields cookies in Palo Alto, California. Its revenues rapidly grew to over $25 million annually. There are hundreds of great dessert ideas which can open up a whole new world for those of you who like to create desserts. You will have to undergo a huge transformation when taking your product to the masses, and in some cases, there are ready-made franchises to help you do that. I'm waiting. Editor, some women love to read, others love to read and critique. Both are acceptable in this type of business. Gone are the days where editors pore over documents looking for errors in grammar and spelling. That's what computers are for. However, sequencing the right scenes in a book, from chapter to chapter, requires deep insight and understanding of time-tested 3-part acts and related content. Most publications have women editors behind them. Fitness instructor, from the grainy beginnings of Jane Fonda's VHS video tapes to the modern streaming services, there is still room for you to create a following on a fitness topic of your choice. In this slide, we are going to discuss floral shops, legal assistant, and music teacher. Floral shop. This type of business depends on 3 sources of revenue: foot traffic, direct inbound calls, and online purchases. The average floral shop of the 20,000 or so in the U.S. generates about $300,000 in annual revenue, with about 35% of that going to salaries. The owner may average around $40,000 per year, but that's less than 15% of the annual revenue. If you live in a very cold or very hot location, your annual volume will be considerably different. Almost all flower arrangements can be purchased online through such companies as FTD Florists or 1-800-FLOWERS.com. Your store would have to be affiliated with one or both of those to compete. Legal assistant. In this highly litigious society, too ready to take disagreements to a court of law so that a legal decision can be made about them, it may make sense to become a legal assistant. Problem is that takes you away from a home-based business, and you're back to trading hours for dollars. Music teacher. If you love to play music, perhaps you are capable of becoming a music teacher. Although this can be a rewarding home-based business, once again you're back to trading hours for dollars. There are 2 ways to counteract that malady, and that is to create training modules for online sales and/or create lessons which are consumed by a room full of students at the same time. The latter solution seems to be the route that certified teachers in elementary and secondary education may take. And there's the issue of having a suitable venue, classroom with instruments, to give the training. But, as we said, some people want a small home-based business with little to no inventory. Piano lessons come to mind. In this concluding slide for women's options, we are going to discuss online store and wedding planner. Online stores. In addition to creating your own personal website to create an online sales presence, you can also market your products and services through such venues as Amazon, eBay, and ETSY. By listing these types of services, you will also find other competitors which might serve your needs better. One of the key components to selling something online, in deference to what others may tell you, is that you create the product or service, and you become the iconic owner of the brand. That approach may take some time to accomplish, but the personal satisfaction of creating thousands of clients using your products is quite satisfying, not to mention that you can create a virtual empire clamoring for your next release. You want to always remember to keep online security in place regardless of your direct sales abilities and use web designers who have your best interests in mind. You can hire Fiverr worldwide contractors for a set fee to create online work for you. Try out several before you settle on the 2 or 3 that will carry your ideas to the masses. Wedding planner. If someone can create vastly success shows on TV which delve into the merits of wedding dresses at $10,000 to $50,000, certainly you can create a business to support wedding planning. It is best to be affiliated with several local bridal shops and use their clientele to quickly reach out to the would-be newlyweds in order to offer your services. This is a type of business which can be quite seasonal, but if you also partner with the various options of venues in your area, you can combine your talents with the different segments of weddings, photography, restaurant venues, pre-wedding planning and dress rehearsals, flower arrangements, decorators, caterers, dress shops, repair shops, transportation, honeymoon destinations, travel, and several others. The list goes on, limited only by your imagination.
Hi, I'm Oliver, excited to be with you. I'm the youngest member of the 3D Business Launch Model Group, and look forward to sharing some ideas with you today. In this slide, we are going to discuss some of the options that teens can take advantage of, even during and after school hours and other commitments. These include babysitting, blogging, camp counselor, car detailing at dealers, port assistant. Babysitting. Would you believe the average cost for babysitting is over $15 per hour? Perhaps this is something you can work around your other schedules and do on weekends which don't conflict with other activities. Some states require CPR training and related care of certain age children. Blogging. Both young men and young women may have enough experience or research to qualify for developing a podcast or blog, which after garnering a sizable following could attract outside companies to advertise on your sites for a fee. Once underway, this becomes a very nice residual or what is known as passive income that can be continued for as long as you desire. Camp counselor. Perhaps glorified babysitting, but in a nature setting. You will also be teaching valuable skills like cooperation to young people. Car detailing. Gene Irwin mentioned that he worked as a car detailer his last 2 years of college and did quite well in supporting his living that way. Court assistant. Both attorneys and courts rely on the services of outside people, often labeled farmed out work, to perform certain aspects of their overall job, such as filing at various courts to a county clerk, and reams of documents which need filing and creation and duplication at a facility which caters to large format copying. There are literally thousands of pages which need duplication for the legal business, and there are dedicated companies in larger towns and cities that only have law firms as their exclusive clients. You could actually start a duplication business by dovetailing off of your experience in working with local copier offices, and by perhaps acquiring your own duplication equipment and source your own clients. Very profitable. In this slide, we are going to discuss delivery service, e-commerce, gas station attendant, greenskeeper, caddy. Delivery service. This is one of those types of business that anyone with a license, decent transportation, and detailed knowledge of the town or city in which you live, can set up an ideal delivery service. This could be as mundane as picking up clothes to cleaners and returning them once finished, to transporting flowers and other products to the consumer. You would establish certain routes and work for several different businesses each day, thus expanding your clientele to those people who need your services to deliver their products, such as groceries and papers. E-commerce. We've covered several instances of how to use online services. Young people seem to grasp this concept very quickly and can assist others who are new to this marketing channel, in addition to direct sales to walk-in clients. You could create a sign-up waitlist like Great Clips does for clients and use that to queue up services or various businesses around town, even in a town hundreds of miles away from you. Think about it. Gas station/convenience store. A strong word of caution: do not work in an evening environment by yourself at any time. We don't advocate any activity that compromises high school or college-age people in work areas which may cause personal harm or take away from your primary objective of getting an education. The fact is, if you go to college and work part-time to keep you there, you have a 19% chance of graduating in 4 years. Greenskeeper/caddy. This may be the type of outside work, similar to landscaping and lawn care, that appeals to men and women of all ages. Just be sure that you can handle the physical activities necessary to do the job, and do so without putting your health at risk from injury or sickness from using pesticides, etc. In this slide, we are going to discuss house cleaning, household chores, ranch chores, lifeguard, swimming instructor. House cleaning. A person in this capacity can schedule their time around the schedule of their clients. We strongly recommend that you have carefully considered where your work area is, and make sure to take precautions not be in a position where you are by yourself in someone's home. It makes sense that you partner with another person to do this kind of work, increase the total number of clients, and both make a good income from your work. Household chores. There are many homes in the country where you live that can use some extra help from time to time, cleaning the outside, washing windows, cutting back weeds and overgrowth to cleaning out the garage. Funny how working for others is more enjoyable than working in your own home. Ranch chores. This type of work is usually more physically intensive and requires you to have certain skills around animals and equipment. Gene Irwin's first paying job for others was in the arena of haying, where he did the automated raking of hundreds of acres prior to baling hay. His first paycheck ever covered his first invoice for 125 hours of work. His paycheck? $125. Lifeguard/swimming instructor. Larger towns and cities often pay teens 15 and older to take the necessary prerequisites and training and experience to become not only lifeguards but also swimming instructors. In our city, the average income for teens who qualify for that type of work amounted to incomes between $15 and $20 per hour. This is for teenagers who take the time to pass the certifications outlined for the city. In this slide, we are going to discuss jobs in the fast food industry, paper routes, painting, pet services and restaurant positions. Fast food industry. Every town or city, regardless of size, has some type of fast food or similar type of business. They always need more teenagers to work the various shifts, and the income usually mirrors the minimum wage for your state. There's absolutely nothing wrong for either young women or young men to work at McDonald's, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, Wendy's or similar establishments. You will learn cooking and cleaning skills, as well as how to manage your time and relationship with coworkers. You now only get free food, but you gain an appreciation for what it takes to run such a business. Paper routes. Almost very larger city requires people of all ages to distribute papers to their customers in the early morning hours. This also includes periodicals and magazines. It requires stamina to control your time, get sufficient rest when you're not in school or working, and still be able to perform the next day in whatever your activities require. It's a good side business if you have sufficient transportation. Painting. Not everyone likes to paint, but if you do, you can almost guarantee getting on a work crew who paints houses, businesses and municipal properties around town every spring, summer and fall. Look around and see if you can gain this experience and put it to valuable use. Pet services. There are 2 keys to this business. 1. You must like small animals, and 2. You must have time and resources, i.e., places to take them, in order to give them the exercise they need in a safe environment, and you must be able to take care of their deposits in a clean fashion. Restaurant services. After you gain some experience in a fast food business, you can upgrade your exposure to higher dollars by learning how to clear tables and wait on tables as a server in a sit-down type of restaurant, such as any of the major chains you can think of: Applebee's, Olive Garden, Outback Steakhouse and Texas Steakhouse, and other similar large businesses which cater to casual dining and local environment. In this slide, we are going to complete this section with retail sales, seasonal work, and YouTube creations. Retail sales. While we are not focused on retail sales, we recognize that there may be good opportunities for teenagers to work in this environment. Just be sure that your work doesn't distract from your primary goal of getting an education, and that you work in a location that has a large number of people with you, especially when the business closes and people leave to go home. Be very careful around anyone after dark. Always walk with several in a group. Seasonal work. Many companies thrive on seasonal work. UPS requires thousands of part-time workers in the late fall, all the way through the holidays. This may be an ideal place to get some extra work, as well as using Amazon delivery work. Also consider your area. What types of work in your area lend themselves to seasonal work? What about snow removal in areas of the country in the winter? How about lawn care in the south? Lots of opportunities abound in your own area, and you can always look at local job boards for seasonal workers. YouTube creations. Not every person who is running a business understands how to create YouTube videos, and put them up online with a reference to their website, etc. You can be the bridge to the newer outlet of providing services to your local small businesses, and offer services to include videotaping, and then creating a script to carry that information online for the owners of the business. It is fairly easy for teenagers to learn how to use this medium, and quickly gain lots of clients nationwide who need your help. All from the comforts of your own home or dorm room. Well, my fellow teenagers, there you have it. Lots of ways to gain extra income while you're going to school or need to work from home. We wish you and your business opportunities all the best. Be sure to take a look at the 3D Business Launch Model mini course by clicking on the link below.